So the bazaar continues to be a hot topic in the community, and there was a lot of discussion that happened last week because a KingsIsle dev made some comments about the bazaar situation, and I wasn't able to cover it last week because I was gone on vacation, but I wanted to cover it now because it is relevant. And since I made that first video about the changes that the bazaar had happened recently, where they added this cooldown, which is basically if you sell an item in the bazaar, it won't appear in the bazaar for like 30 minutes or something after it's sold. Since then, they did lift that cooldown on some categories, but currently, as the bazaar stands right now, there still is that cooldown on gear, jewels, and reagents in the bazaar, which are pretty much the big categories that people actually care about and that you would want it to be instant to where you sell something, you can see it. So, still a big problem. If we go into the bazaar right now and we look at the reagents, there's probably not even anything good in here because the bazaar has been just sad recently. So if we go to buy reagents and we look, all we see in here are reagents that are sold by vendors. No one's really going to come to the bazaar to buy these reagents because they're just the basic reagents. Vendors sell these, there's nothing cool. I used to be able to come to the bazaar and then click refresh a few times and I would see some rare reagents besides just these, but that's no longer a thing. There's nothing in here. There's actually just nothing in the bazaar. It's kind of sad to see it this way, and I think I think immediately seeing this as a KI employee, I would be like, okay, the bazaar clearly is broken. Let's revert this change, allow the reagents to go back to normal, and see what happens. That's what they should do. They should just revert that because that is horrible. So they haven't reverted that change. And then on top of that, they are actually defending this current system that's in place. So I wanted to read you guys some Discord messages from Artie here where they talk about the bazaar. So he says, we can discuss the impact to community gameplay that trading restrictions may have, and we are working to standardize the quality of gear found in the bazaar, as it seems that at some point it was decided that decent gear wasn't allowed in the auction house. Meanwhile, I see others complain that the change favors bots. Are they really saying that this benefit is only there because the trading exploit was removed? I suppose that was my original question. So he's saying that there isn't decent gear in the auction house. I think there's fine gear in the auction house because it's bazaar gear, and I've been using it on my balanced walkthrough character where I go to the bazaar and I buy whatever gear is better than what I have, and it's fine. It's crazy that he is referring to trading in the bazaar as an exploit. That is something that I really don't understand, because to me, this, like, the word exploit being used here, I just feel like doesn't fit at all. This isn't an exploit. Players are actually just using this as designed because you can buy something that someone sells immediately, and that's perfectly fine. You just happen to be there when they sell it. If they told you that they're going to sell it and then they do it, I think that's allowed because, you know, you made a transaction and one player, you know, got gold because they sold it, and another player spent gold because they bought it. That is a transaction to me, perfectly allowable, and I think that they should just leave it at that. So I don't know why he's calling it an exploit, but we have more here. So then Sean responded to Artie saying, question as asked, yes, the bots can monitor 24/7, and now the players would need to. Losing social aspect of the bazaar being gone is definitely a massive disappointment. As others have said or alluded to, calling social interaction / altruism an exploit is a scary thing to see as a player. If I wanted less player interaction, especially with items that are intended to be resold to players, I wouldn't play an MMO. If players found a way to trade no auction items, I would get it, but I still can't find a reason to halt players trading items through an intended vendor to take one player's items and give it to another. That's pretty much what I just said right there. It definitely feels like a way to push players to grind more or pay more, both of which are bad as a player. For sure, this update just seems to hurt the players. That's why I don't understand why they're even going down this road. I think they should just stop right now and be like, okay, this is bad for the players, let's revert. I don't understand why they're pushing for this. And I don't understand why they're calling it an exploit. How can you call something that's been in the game for such a long time an exploit now? This has been in the game for a long time. Probably, I think this the Bazaar came out in 2009, so this has been in the game since almost the very beginning. And now, 16 years later, you're calling it an exploit. I don't think it works like that. I don't think it's an actual exploit if it's taken this long, you know, for you to decide now that you don't like it, and you're just gonna call it an exploit and then attempt to remove it. So Artie responded to what Sean said there, and he said, "I'm actually surprised at this take, to be honest. How do you define exploit other than clearly circumventing the intent of the design?" What? We can debate the trading topic separately, but if trading isn't allowed and you know trading via the Bazaar was not the intent of the system, as has been stated here, then how is that not exploiting a weakness in the Bazaar to circumvent the intentional trading restrictions? This is a really bold statement from a developer of a game. They're saying that the Bazaar was never originally intended to be used for trading. But I don't even understand that statement, because that is literally what a Bazaar is. A Bazaar is trading. A Bazaar is like a middleman for trading, for players' items to be put up onto this marketplace and then be bought by another player. That is strictly what it is. I mean, yes, you could have, you know, the instances where someone puts it up, tells their friend to go buy it, and they do, and then that's basically trading. But I still think that's totally fine. That's not breaking the game. KingsIsle, this is not breaking the game. It really isn't. This is not breaking the game. This is not exploiting. This is not like a horrible thing that you need to focus your efforts on, because you know what you really should do is have players be able to trade without even going through the Bazaar. You should have players be able to directly trade by going up to a player, click trade, and then give another player gold or reagents or an auctionable item, something like that. That should be allowable in this game. So we haven't even really gotten to that. The Bazaar is just what players have to use, because KingsIsle is so restrictive on this trading that we have to go through something like this to even be able to trade, you know, some items. And by the way, this trade isn't guaranteed. When you put something into the Bazaar and it's bought by another player, even if you told them to buy it, you sometimes don't get all of it, so it's a risk. It's like a risky trade, where if you give something and trade it to someone else, there's a chance that player doesn't even get it. So it's a horrible system, but it's all we have, because this is just how it's been. It's been super difficult to get KingsIsle on board with any type of trading, even TCs, which are tradable in this game. KingsIsle doesn't seem to like it that players are trading in powers for other items. I don't know why they don't like the economy of this game. It's an MMO. We should have trading. We should have the ability to give other players items that we farm for or have obtained, because that's how the economy should work. I feel like the economy, they should just let it thrive. I don't know why they're trying to restrict it so heavily. But it continues. So Artie says, total farming effort aside, so you feel giving someone a piece of gear via trading is a higher quality social interaction than helping them farm for that same piece of gear. Okay, so for one, the best gear in the game is not going to be tradable, even if there was trading. The best gear will not be tradable. Crown's gear will not be tradable. The only tradable gear will be auctionable gear that's currently able to be put into the auction house right now. And trading that isn't really necessary, because it's unlikely that you have someone that you know that needs a specific piece of auctionable gear. That's not likely, which is where the auction house or the Bazaar comes in. You can just sell it to the Bazaar, and then anyone in the game that checks it could find your piece of gear and buy it. And you don't really care. You just have sold it to them. They are just putting it up for sale. You got your gold, and then they're going to purchase it with gold. That's fine. No one is going to be trading gear. I don't think that's something that needs to be talked about, because the Bazaar already fills that. And we're not going to trade any actual good gear. We're talking Bazaar gear here. Like, this is auctionable gear. And then he also says, this isn't the right form to debate a nuanced topic like trading, to be honest, so would prefer waiting until a stream, but the exploit take is something more clear cut to me. I would love to see a stream of this. I would love to see it. I feel like the community would absolutely rip them apart with this take, which is pretty much what I've been doing. Like, do they watch my videos? I don't know anymore, but would Artie watch this video? I don't know. I have no idea. But I feel like they've already gotten a lot of interactions from the community, and most of it is probably what I'm saying now, where they're saying this is a bad idea, the community doesn't want this, players have, you know, used the bazaar for quote-unquote trading for a long time and it's worked out, and I don't see why KingsIsle should put so much effort into restricting that. Also, the bot situation was made worse with this. So they made players' lives more difficult, and they also allowed the bots to thrive more because the bots can sit there and wait 24/7, which a player can't, and just buy all the items. So I don't know who wins on this, because I don't even think KingsIsle wins on this. So I think they immediately need to revert the changes to the bazaar, have no cooldown, let players just do what they've been doing, keep the bazaar UI updates, like that's a fine quality of life change. But yeah, then they need to rethink trading in general. Like, what are they so against with trading? What do they hate so much about that? Like, that's where I think the issue really is. What do they think? Like, the players aren't going to be trading crowns items. Players aren't going to be trading endgame gear. Those aren't items that you can trade. It would just be bazaar gear and then reagents. Trading reagents would be massive. I'm excited to see if KingsIsle actually does a stream on this, because that would be a really fun stream just to see like what the comments would say and what the chat would say on that. But if you guys enjoyed this video, definitely leave a like on it, subscribe for more Wiz videos in the future. Hope you guys enjoy this today, and I'll see you all next time.